Don't forget to follow the Meticulous Manicurist on your social media sites and click that subscribe button to know when I upload the next video. Hello, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to cover a few things, one being the surprise you might get when you take off someone's polish and you see these white spots. These are not fungus. They're actually called white superficial onychomycosis. And a quick explanation with a lot of words that you are not going to understand, and then I'll explain it in plain English. It's basically an infection of the nail plate or dermatophytosis. It's caused from a dermatophytic species that live in soil. They're basically soil saprophytes that have acquired the ability to digest keratinous debris in soil, and they've evolved to being capable of parasitizing keratinous tissues. So in plain English, this means scrub under your toenails after gardening, or a microsporem could start eating your toenails. And please stop flipping out that I don't have on gloves, because I will wash my hands thoroughly when I'm finished and use germ killer to ensure any microsporums have not gotten on me and won't eat my nails. And remember, every person that touches dirt has the same risk.
And before Christmas, before Easter, so that was just before Palm Sunday. Anyway, we got to the hospital. I had to get an ambulance for him. I was afraid to drive with the blood pressure that high, and I got there at 9 o'clock, and I didn't leave until 2:30.
Oh my goodness.
And they did not give him any Lopressor, which is the drug to start bringing the blood pressure down.
Have you ever taken off someone's nail polish only to find a bunch of white spots underneath the nail? Sometimes white spots are just dry spots, and sometimes white spots are white superficial onychomycosis. And it's caused from one of the spores. There's different forms of bacteria and microorganisms that are in soil, and this one eats keratin. So it's in the nail, and it's actually trying to invade her nail plate. And I get a little ahead of myself in this video. I should have applied the Callus eliminator to the bottom of her foot and wrapped her foot in the towel before I started taking off her polish, but we started chatting and I just got ahead of myself. I'm going to apply the cuticle remover so it has time to penetrate into the dead skin, so it's very easy to remove. Then I'm going to clip and file the nails.
So honestly, Ed, you know, next Sunday is Allie's birthday, her 5th birthday, and it's going to be her first birthday without her mummy. So I mean, I really, really want to be in Canada. So at this point, you know, I'm planning to leave on Wednesday next week. And I don't want to leave him. I want him to come with me. But honestly, he was
You don't know if he can travel.
Yeah, that's right. He was so sick and so weak when he came home. But he's highly motivated. He doesn't want to get left behind again, like he was at Christmas time. And he's had both occupational therapists and physiotherapists coming to the house. And he's been working hard with them. And so I think if we just, you know, break the trip in Toronto and give him a day to rest, and then go on to Pembroke on Friday, he'll be all right.
Yeah, I'd take him with you. It'll be good for his spirit too.
Well, I think so, you know, and I mean, he was just not rebounding at all in March. And then Wendy flew down for 4 days and stayed with us from the 25th to the 29th of March. And honestly, seeing her turned everything around for him. It was just like
sometimes clients' toes are really difficult to hold on to, especially if they've had surgeries done on them in the past. She's had surgery for her hammer toes, so she has pins in her second and third toe, and they've also been sewn together. So sometimes you have to file in a vertical direction instead of a horizontal direction. to file the free edge.
Great.
Now, why are you videoing?
Hi,
Hi, Bruce.
I'm gonna put this at your desk.
All right, thanks.
Why are you videoing people's feet, honey?
I have a YouTube channel for about a year now,
Oh.
and I'm the top creator on YouTube for pedicure tutorials.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. It's called the Meticulous Manicurist Nail Tutorials. And I have people from all over the world. I have like 2.5 million views.
Yeah, she's internet famous. We're gonna have to charge you extra.
Can I touch her?
That's even more, but all right.
Okay.
Isn't that great?
She's touching you, so
Yeah, right. That is wonderful, Lori. What made you think to do that?
Oh, the education and the care that people get from places, and then they come in and talk to me, and I just thought people don't have very good pedicure education, and it's not something that they teach in school.
It's a lot easier to remove
So,
the dead skin on the
I thought
cuticles
it would
when
be a
it's a
good
little
thing
bit
for
still
nail
wet. So I
technicians for
always add
continuing
another layer of
education,
cuticle
and it's
remover before I start
turned out
pushing back the
great.
cuticles with the
So
cuticle
is this
knife.
thing being filmed the whole time you're doing that? What you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then I upload it, and then I do voiceover and tell them exactly what I'm doing,
And what to be worried about, or
Yeah.
the difficulties of having two toes joined together.
Right, yep. Yep. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that different videos meet the needs for all kinds of people.
That's brilliant, Lori.
Yeah. It's an extra income revenue stream for us too.
Well, yes, for sure. Because what, every time somebody looks at the video, they have to pay for it or something like
Well,
that?
they don't pay for it, an advertiser pays for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this young nurse that was just at the house with us, she's not a registered nurse, she's a licensed practical nurse, but she's a real go-getter, and she was just saying that she and another nurse are hoping to open a business in Monroe that is just strictly about senior care.
Aw.
Because seniors are now such a big demographic in
Yeah.
our population,
Yeah.
and they have very specific needs, you know. And she just like went down the whole list of things that they're hoping to offer and implement and try at this center. And I'm thinking, wow, she's only 35, and she's just so excited and so enthused about this, and I just thought, you know, this is just what the world needs, is
Yeah.
energetic, bright young people with wonderful new ideas.
Yep.
So, you know, we just both put a blessing on her and said, you know, we could only just hope and pray that her idea works out, because it'll be a win-win situation for everybody. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So do you have to photograph both feet or just the one foot?
Sometimes I'll edit stuff out and just do one
Right.
if I'm doing the same thing. Or I'll do one foot real time and then I'll speed up the work on the other foot, just because they say that, oh, what am I doing? See, okay, you don't put that foot back in yet. I just got too busy talking that I forgot to do that before When that happens, I always tell them my motto for my YouTube channel is real life, real situations, real learning. And this is part of real life. I started running my jabs that I forgot to put on your callus softener.
So in an additional video, I address the callus on the bottom of her foot, and she talks about speaking to her doctor, and I'll tell you why it's important to take care of those
Callus on that foot is
calluses.
not getting any smaller.
Okay.
My
All right, you
doctor-
can put that foot back
My
in.
doctor even had me go and get special shoes because he was worried about that callus breaking down
Oh.
and my foot getting infected.
All right, I'll take that foot.
I didn't pick out a color, but you know the colors I like.
Yeah.
I can't think how long we've been doing this, Lori. I must be one of your original customers.
Oh yeah, a long time.
Were you? No, it wasn't you that was with down at.
So I
That
looked
was
up
Stacy.
her history when we were finished to see exactly how
was there
long
too.
I
Were
had
you?
been doing her toes, and I've been doing her pedicures and manicures for
I don't
15 years
remember.
now.
But how long did you work there and before you opened your own shop?
A year and a half. I won't get ahead of myself on this.
Here I
foot.
apply the callus eliminator to the bottom of her foot with a brush. You don't want to get this on your hands because it can sting your hands. There's not a lot of dead skin on your hands, so it can, it's a corrosive substance. It dissolves the dead skin, so it can be easily removed
It
with a
is.
foot file.
Oh sure, yeah.
Oh. I guess I've always just been so happy coming here. I never looked or even thought to check it out anymore.
Yeah, it's still there.
So, have you been to the new theater here in town?
No, not
Oh
yet.
my God, you gotta go.
I know.
It is so cool.
We were gonna go tonight because one of our movies that we've been waiting for to come out, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But William got pneumonia 3 days ago.
Aww.
Yeah, so my little sweetie is still at home sick on antibiotics, so we aren't gonna be going to the movies.
This foot, the white spots aren't as bad as her right foot. They'll be easier to get rid of.
That's not usual for such a young, healthy person.
Yeah, I know.
Active to get pneumonia. Well, that was what I was afraid could end up with Don when he wasn't moving. Old people are very, very susceptible to hypostatic pneumonia, which means just, when you're not moving and you're not breathing hard, your lungs aren't inflating and deflating the way they need to in order to, keep them not compromised.
Right.
Well, I had pneumonia 4 times in my life, and I'll tell you, the last time it was a microplastic pneumonia, and I thought I was going to die. And there were points that I kind of wished I had.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
I couldn't breathe. It was very scary. I was so sick. I couldn't eat. I was so nauseated from all the antibiotics they were giving me. It was awful. That bug that I brought that pneumonia from, that microplastic pneumonia, it was the same bug that caused Legionnaire's disease.
Oh, Legionnaire's disease?
Yeah. So it was really a very virulent, strong, awful bug. And we were on holidays with the children. This was, oh my God, how old would Julie have been? Maybe only 6. So it was back in about 1984. And we were on holidays. We'd gotten a new GMC Suburban, and we had camped all the way across Canada out to British Columbia. And I had a nursing friend of mine who had a ranch in Toenail, about 400 miles north of Vancouver. And we were staying on the ranch because the kids had never been, on a ranch before with horses and cows and real cowboys and stuff like that. It was really exciting for them. And anyway, and it was the middle of July. Oh my God, it must have been 110 degrees in the shade. And thank God we were sleeping down in their basement because it was a bit cooler. anyway, she was a nurse. Linda was a nurse, and as I got sicker and sicker, she ended up taking me into Emerge, and they admitted me.
Oh my goodness
Because
gracious.
I was dehydrated from the heat and not being able to eat or drink enough. And my lungs were just filling up with fluid. Oh, it took me 6 months. That was July. And honestly, I don't think I really felt better or like my old self again till about December.
Oh my goodness.
It was a very, very long time to get over that. And I mean, I wasn't old then. I was only in my 40s.
When I was having all of that trouble with my arms, and they determined that it was coming from my neck, when my arms were turning purple and I was getting all that pain down my arms, I went into the emergency room and they thought I was having a heart attack, and they did all of these tests and stuff, and they did a CT scan or something. I can't remember exactly what they did, but they said that my lungs are full of nodules. And they said that I must have had something called granulomatous disease. And I don't recall ever, you know, I mean, maybe I had pneumonia a couple of times, but, and they said they won't go away. They'll be there forever. And this male nurse, he was so compassionate and sweet. And he just stood next to my bed and he was like, petting my shoulder and telling me, "Oh honey, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like what is wrong? Like, is there something seriously wrong with me?" Exactly. I'm like, what is wrong? Oh. But then they determined I wasn't having a heart attack, and it must be from the nerve compressions in my neck.
Well, you know, when I had that lung cancer 3 years ago, and they did multiple scans of my lungs, I have nodules in my lungs still that are not growing and not related to cancer or anything, but what they told me is that people...
When there's a lot of dead skin and you can't really see what you've removed and what needs to be removed, take a towel and just rub the nail plate in the cuticle area pretty hard to get off all of that dead skin so you can see exactly what you're working on.
I mean, even your job,
Yeah.
breathing in all of the chemicals that you put on people's nails
Could be.
could be a source.
Yeah.
Exhaust fumes could be a source. I mean, who knows?
And I have terrible allergies.
Well, I
The
do
back
too.
of my throat is covered in nodules. They call it cobblestoned.
Oh my.
Yeah, like if you look down my throat, it looks like a million mosquito bites connected.
How good does that feel?
Well, you can't really feel it, but it makes me, I feel like I sound like a smoker all the time,
Oh.
and I can't sing at all. Like I can't even make myself try to sound good because my vocal cords are they're not smooth, you know?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I have a client who's a singer, and she said that she could teach anybody to sing, and I was like, I am telling you that you cannot teach me to sing because I have like a physical thing
Reason why
that
not?
it won't let, yeah.
So did she ever try? Or did she just take you at your word?
Yeah, I was like, I wouldn't waste your time because I told her that that's something that I would have always loved to been able to do.
Sure.
And whenever I hear people singing, like it literally, when I watch like America's Got Talent and stuff like that, it makes me cry because I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful, you know, and I just cannot sing.
I mean, do you try when you're alone in the house or when
Oh
nobody's
yes,
listening?
yes, and it's horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sing in the shower, that's what people do.
Yep, in the car on my way to pick Evan up from work one day, I was singing along to a song and I started laughing out loud like as hard. I'm like, oh my God, this would be so hilarious if I filmed myself every Saturday morning taking Evan to work and singing the song because I always known that I cannot sing. is down. He's just gonna watch cartoons. Yeah.
How did you figure out, or how was it diagnosed that he had pneumonia?
At urgent care, the night before he had vomited, and so we weren't going to send him to school, and we had no idea why he vomited. He wasn't feeling ill or under the weather at all.
Sure.
So, my nail file. There it is. So the next morning, I was home for the day, and I didn't come to work until 2 o'clock. So he was feeling just like run down, you know, he was resting on the couch watching cartoons and stuff, and I felt if he had a fever, and he did not. And then when Bruce got home from work, yeah.
Is that my fault? Up there with the plate and stuff?
No. When Bruce got home from work, he felt him and he felt really warm. And so he took his temperature and it was 103. So he said he was going to take him to urgent care because I was still at work, and I said, okay. And they said, he's got pneumonia. We were like, what? He had no cough. We just, like, I didn't understand how quickly that came on.
So what antibiotic is he on?
They gave him the zithromycin, the Z-Pack.
How old is he now?
He's 13.
Okay.
He turned 13 in February.
Gosh, that's your baby.
Yeah. He's so sweet. And he's really lovey when he's sick. I'm like, aw. Well, he's always really lovey, but I guess he's extra lovey now that he's not feeling well.
Where is Evan working?
At a restaurant on Saturday and Sunday mornings as a host. He's the cashier and he seats people. I believe it's unrealistic to think that you're going to cure this in one treatment because you don't want to thin out her nail so much. So you're going to file off as much of the discoloration as you can. Treat it with the liquid to help kill the microsporems. And then when she comes back in a month or so, see what the progress is. And if it has grown anymore, then file off the rest and retreat it again. And she'll be treating it at home with a topical that she's going to buy up front at the counter and take it home and use it. He had to have all A's and B's on his report card, and last trimester he had a C, and so we told him he had to wait.
That probably didn't go down too well.
You know, Evan is such a good teenager. Like, I'm such a lucky mom. He had no back talk, no lip, nothing.
Wow. Lord.
Nothing. He was just like, okay, Mom. And then I said, do you think that you could try to get all A's this trimester to make up, to bring your GPA back up? And he goes, sure, Mom. I'm like, you're such a good kid. Such a
Well,
good
that
kid.
speaks volumes about you and Bruce's parents, Lori.
Oh, thanks.
Well, you know, I think that well-brought-up children have been, A, well-loved. I think they have had very reasonable, consistent boundaries set for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have been respected as little people. And so, you know, what you give out comes back to you, and usually tenfold. And it's not just, it doesn't just happen that kids are good kids.
Oh, thanks.
I really feel it's a tremendous reflection, total reflection of the parenting that they've had.
Well, we try our hardest to be good parents, so.
But it's the hardest damn job in the world.
It is.
Got the paneling on both sides dry.
It's time to polish. I'm going to
Yeah.
clean her nail plates off with
And,
pure acetone, and then I'm going to
so,
put one more drop of treatment on
my
those
friend
nails,
John,
and then we're going to base
his
coat,
manager,
2
said,
coats of
"Well, Gail,"
polish,
he said,
a
"you know,
coat
you've
of
got
glitter
your
polish,
choices."
top
He said,
coat,
"You can
and some
either
cuticle
pull
oil.
the paneling down and put up drywall and paint, tape and paint, and then put the carpeting back down, or you could put up drywall and tape and paint it. So either paint the paneling or get rid of the paneling and put up drywall and then put the carpeting back down." So I went to Lowe's and I picked out carpeting, and I, locked in a deal where they would do free installation and blah, 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 all this stuff. And then about a week later, John came back and he said, "Gail, I've been rethinking this." And he took his real estate license about 5 years ago. And he said, "I don't think it's worth," he said, "you've got enough stress in your life right now with Dawn being so sick and everything else that you're trying to deal with on your own here, because it was just coming up to tax time. My car needed servicing. We had a leak in the roof in our sunroom.
My
I mean,
goodness.
all these things that Dawn would normally, be dealing with, and he wasn't there." And so he said, "I've been rethinking this, Gail." And he said, "Honestly," he said, "you don't need any more stress in your life right now." So he said, "I think if you're willing to take maybe a $5,000 or $6,000 loss when you come to sell the house," he said, "I think you should just sell it as is and forget about painting." And because he said, for starters, you and Dawn don't use that space.
Right.
It's just never been utilized other than for dead storage. And he said, "You've still got lots of storage in the other half of the basement." And he said, "You don't know who's going to buy this house when you come to sell it. It might be another senior citizen couple who never used the basement, so why would you spend all that money to fix it up and then they're never going to use it?"
Right.
He said it might be a family with children, and they might not want carpeting in a basement. They might want laminate, and they might want different colors. And so you could go through all of the expense and the agony of getting it restored now, only to have them come in and rip it all down and change the colors.
Right, that it wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't be right. So he said, "You know what? I'd say just leave it." I said, "I'm all over that one." I just really did not want to have to think
You're
about.
like, that's the best thing I've heard all day.
I know. You just made my day. So that's what I did. We ripped up all the carpeting, got it out of there, and I've left the windows.
Science
cracked
tells us that the
downstairs, and it
microsporums
smells
cannot
nice
live in
and
any
fresh. I've got
solvents
some
because
fans
there's no living
that either into the
organism to
house
feed off
blowing
of, but
nice
it's better
fresh air
safe
all around, and
than to be sorry.
so far
So
it's good.
I always
And
pour a little bit of the
really,
base
it
coat
was a
onto
blessing
a
because Dawn
square
was
of
in the
foil
hospital,
and polish
and
the
we were
nails
finding out
that
that he's
are
a
affected
hoarder
with
and a collector,
the microsporums, or I
and
haven't gotten it
won't
all
let go
off
of
the nail.
anything. Well,
Before I
just
put the
went
polish
into
brush back
massive
into the
purge
bottle, I
mode
clean it off with pure
because there was
acetone
stuff
just
down
to
there,
make
Lori,
sure
that he'd been holding on to for
that you're
25
not going to
years.
And
spread
you
it to
could
your
say that it
clients.
just was damaged in the
Exactly,
floor.
that's exactly what I said. It was all wet, and it had to go. So when he came home, I wasn't his favorite wife, but you know what?
That's okay.
The more I did now, Lori, the less I'll have to do.
Right.
And I'm left to sell that house, plus deal with his garage, plus the other half of the basement, plus his pole barn, for God's sake. He's got a 58-foot pole barn that's filled with all his treasures.
My goodness.
So I've said over the years, I said, "Dawn, you either deal with it or I'm just renting a dumpster."
I mentioned earlier in the video that her second and third toes are pinned because she used to have hammer toes. She had surgery for them. So in order to polish properly, you kind of have to put your finger in between the toes and just press down so the toenail
of his mother's
can be in a position
that
where you can
honest to
polish it
God
easier.
looked like it came out of the ark. Now, when I plugged it in and put a light bulb in it, it did work. But if it hadn't worked, who would have wanted it?
Right.
You know, nobody wants to start having to repair and replace stuff.
No.
So, anyway, he was upset. There were a couple of, I sold a couple of things. My friend Carol Eichler came over and took some pictures, and we sold a couple of things on eBay. And then the last, just before the week, couple of nights before Dawn came home from hospital, John came over and Dawn had a solar cooker and a water filter system that he had got when he went to the Energy Fair in Wisconsin a few years ago. And John said, Gail, those are really good. And he said, I'm sure Dawn paid at least $100 or more for each of them. So he said, I won't tell him where they are. We'll just put them in my garage. And he said, I'll try and sell them for you on eBay. So I
nice.
said, okay, just don't tell him, because he'll go over with the wheelbarrow and haul them back home, and I don't want to see them again. I said, if they don't sell, John, take them to the Salvation Army Donation Center here in town. I mean, that place has been a godsend for me, because I used to drive all the way to the Salvation Army drop-off place up State Street, you know.
Oh, yes.
And that wasn't like right around the corner. That was a bit of a hike. And so with both the Goodwill and the Salvation Army here, the only thing I couldn't get rid of, and Lori, this just broke my heart. And it wasn't even Dawn's shit, it was mine. You know, being a mom, you'll
absolutely,
understand this.
yeah.
I mean, my girls were, well, Wendy's going to be 42 in December. So when I was pregnant 42 years ago with her, I was in Pembroke one day, and I happened to go into an antique store, and I found this beautiful, beautiful old antique crib. So I bought it, brought it home, and Doug, being a woodworker, I said, I think we can strip this down. It was blue. It was painted blue. So he started stripping this crib down, and underneath the coat of blue paint was a coat of pink paint. Underneath the pink paint was a coat of white paint. And when we got down to the bare wood, Lori, it was beautiful solid oak.
Aww.
It was beautiful. So Doug stripped it all down and sanded it, refinished it, and stained it. Oh my God, it was beautiful. And it had all carved spools on the headboard and the footboard, and lovely carvings on it. Well, obviously, both my babies slept in that. I put
very
bumper pads
sentimental,
in,
yeah.
and they were fine. So when I was leaving the house, I was not going to leave that crib there, because Wendy was in her 20s at that time and Julie was 19 or something like that, and I thought someday down the road I'll have grandchildren and they can sleep in their mother's crib. So I hauled that thing here with me. Well, guess what? Smart young people don't put babies in cribs anymore. When they travel, they have these pack and play things.
Right.
And so that poor old crib never got off of the shelf in all the years that I've lived here. Well, so I'm purging, and that was the last thing to go, and I took it to Goodwill, and they wouldn't accept it because the slats are too wide, and there's a liability issue. I took it to Goodwill, I took it to the Salvation Army, I took it to the reuse store on Industrial. I called the Treasure Mart downtown by Zingerman's. Nobody would accept it. So I had to take it to a dumpster.
Oh, you should have sold it on eBay. Little girl would have used it for her dolls.
See, it was a big crib, Lori, and how I would have ever got it to somebody, like let's say somebody in California or something wanted to buy it. because you never know on eBay, people could be living anywhere and wanting to buy it. So anyway, I just cried all the way to the dump and all the way back.
Aww.
It was like losing a part of
Oh,
Julie
yeah.
again, you know.
Oh no, yes. Can't imagine thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
All the reminiscing. Ooh, boy, this is gorgeous.
Twinkly toes.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. It's kind of a spring pink color. Oh, Ellie will be so jealous.
What's the name of this one? Tourmaline. How is your little purple friend from next door?
Well, she's good. It was her husband's birthday a couple of weeks ago. So John and Carol and I, and Carol's dad, we drove to Lansing. And my purple friend and her husband live in Grand Rapids. So they came to Lansing. It was sort of halfway. And we met them at a little brew pub on a Saturday afternoon for dinner. And for birthday cards and gifts and that for her husband. So that was lovely. We got to have a hug and a visit and pictures and went out for ice cream afterwards.
How old is she now?
Well, I've been here, we've been married 19 years this year, and she was 6 when I came,
Yeah.
so she'll be 25 in August.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because whenever we talk about her, I still think of her as a 9-year-old.
I know. But no, she's been married. It'll be 2 years in June since she got married.
Okay.
And so, yeah, she's 25 now this year. But oh my gosh, they've been wonderful friends and so supportive and so caring and helpful. Since all this stuff with Julie and Don's health has come to plague me.
Yeah. Those parts of life are no fun. No
But
fun whatsoever.
nobody's exempt, Lori.
No,
Sadness and
yes,
sorrow
it happens
and
to
loss
everyone.
comes to everyone. And, you know, I can talk about Julie now without breaking down and without crying. A couple months ago when I was here, I couldn't do that.
No.
Just the thought of her name or just speaking her name. I mean, it still happens sometimes when I'm tired and under different circumstances, but I'm getting stronger. I can feel it. What's going to be hard next week is going into the house without her there.
Yes.
This is going to be the first time that I'll be going back when she's not there.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to fall apart.
And certainly in the interim, Craig has gotten rid of all of her clothes and
Here are some other great
jewelry and-
videos for you to check out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.